This video is not intended for children. Viewer discretion is advised.
If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Humanity, look how far you've fallen. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brother.
Greetings, one and all, and welcome to the special edition of Mornings of Mischief. I'm your host, Stone Loki, and with me today is the one, the only, the raging Canadian Bowlestrek. How are you doing, brother?
Hello, y'all. That's one hell of an intro. I like the intro.
Thank you.
I may not be, I'm a little bit under the weather today, so I'm not quite as raging as I would be normally. So it's more of a softer spoken grumpy old bastard from Canada. But I'm still grumpy.
Well, I do certainly know a few of those, some grumpy ass Canadians, especially right now with all the shit that's going on.
Oh, we're all grumpy right now. Are we swearing on this podcast?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay.
Go ahead, say anything you want.
Because I don't want to get you in trouble. Because whenever I show up, the YouTube police just tend to follow me. But yeah, my country is an absolute shit show. For 2 months, we couldn't buy anything. We ended up, I live in the province of Ontario, and we actually ended up with the strictest quarantine measures pretty much in the Western world, or at least on the continent. We couldn't buy anything for about 2.5 months. You need a shovel? No, can't get a shovel. Can't get anything. You can get basics. At one point, they wouldn't even let you buy masks.
Really?
So
you couldn't even buy a fucking mask?
Well, they fixed that. But yeah, at one point, the Walmart had masks roped off. I just wanted to buy a Brita filter for my picture. I couldn't even buy that.
Oh, Jesus.
So we could order through Amazon. But the thing in Ontario, as this was happening, our 3 largest Amazon facilities, which are just outside of Toronto, were also shut down. So at one point, Amazon, you were looking at a 3 to 4 week wait to get anything. And that's even for essential stuff. So we couldn't buy anything in stores. Couldn't buy anything through Amazon. A few stores were doing curbside pickup, but it had to be online. In most of them, you had to have a credit card, which not everybody has. And generally, you would go and order something if it's non-essential, like the living hell I went through just trying to get a shovel to get rid of some weeds. No, they canceled my order. So it took me like a week just to be able to curbside pick up a goddamn shovel at the only place that was allowing us to do curbside pickup for a shovel. So yeah, Ontario sucks. And now everything is reopening. But as you drive around any city in this province, large or small, everything is out of business. I was driving around earlier today. I'm like, yep, downtown. No, everything's gone. It's empty. Our downtown has turned into an absolute shithole because they let it go to hell. There are no businesses down there now, just bums. But yeah, so it's a complete disaster. I'm waiting for our economy to implode. So yeah, Canadians, well, we weren't as bad as Quebec. Quebec, which is our neighbor province, instituted a curfew. So you would be arrested if you're out between, I think the hours was, what was it, 8 p.m. and 5 or 6 a.m. If you were on the street without permission, you would be pretty much arrested. You could go and walk your dog within like half a block of your house. That's the only thing you're allowed out for. So Canada, freedom kind of wasn't a thing here. We've completely destroyed our economy. And if you want to know why Canadians are very grumpy now and our polite nature seems to have gone out the window, which is why most people now sound like me, that's why. And our Prime Minister, actually, never mind. The less said about that, the better. But yeah, so that's my story.
Well, I've got a couple of messages here from you. One from Trinoculus P, who sends in a $5 super chat that says, "My favorite angry Canadian and GOAT. Bowlestrek was the second YouTube creator I subbed to. Thank you for humor in the face of BBC corruption of our Doctor Who."
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Trinoculus. Second YouTube creator. Awesome. I do apologize for that. Yeah, it's and the GOAT. Yeah, the GOAT is he reappeared to give me shit about a month ago, or whenever it was I came back. But yeah, the GOAT will be around again, although I am at the moment largely in response to idiots on YouTube and Twitter. If you've ever seen my Twitter account, it's a complete dumpster show.
Yeah.
But people are saying I couldn't actually do a serious video again if my life depended on it, and all I do is yell and scream. So just to piss them off, because that's fun, my last video and I only do them every few weeks now, and my next few videos, unless something happens, will also be like that. So I have temporarily retired the screaming rage videos. They will be back, but it's going to be a mix because I think people wanted to change, and you can only do so many videos a week where you're just screaming into your poor Yeti mic. My mic hates me, like the abuse this poor thing has gotten over the past 5 years since, well, I bought it. It was supposed to have a happy life. It was supposed to be doing DVD and Blu-ray updates and talking about how much I like Doctor Who and other things. And then the debacle happened in 2017. So I've spent several years yelling into my poor Yeti mic. So Yeti's going to have a break. But yeah, so I'm doing a diverse array of styles, and it's been asked a lot, but I'll say it here. Actually, Stone Loki, you were the first live stream that I've announced this on. So I said I wasn't sure if I was going to cover Doctor Who Series 13, mainly because I hate it, and it's like being probed with an anal fork. Just watching an episode. I don't even know what that is. I just came up with that off the top of my head. But I have decided I will be reviewing Series 13 because some of my fellow YouTubers bullied me into it. So I will be... Oh God, this is gonna suck. I wasn't gonna watch it. I hate the show. I'm done with the show. I don't want to save the show anymore. I just want the damn thing canceled. So I didn't want to watch Series 13, but I figured since I kind of started this thing because I was one of the first people to call this out, and I hate to say I told you so, but I did kind of told you so, and you can look at the timestamps the date stamps on my videos from 2017. I was calling this out 4 years ago. Actually, it's been almost 4 years since the announcement was done. So I figure I will carry it through. So begrudgingly, I will cover Series 13. And I can't promise not to yell in those videos. In fact, I will probably be yelling in those videos, so they won't be part of my more analytical style. And I may have the GOAT review a few of them this time, just because you can't take it seriously anymore. We may make a drinking game of sorts whenever something PC comes up in an episode. Take a drink, but if you did that, then everybody would be dead by the end of the stream, and I don't want to be responsible for alcohol poisoning. So we'll just complain together. I've been thinking that we might be doing live streams as the episodes are on. Just be warned, there might be some potty mouth. I have to talk to Gary Nerdrotic to see. We might do similar to, I have to talk to him about it first, but we might do similar to what we did last time, where we'll do a live stream after the episode and just complain about how bad it was. But at this point, I don't even know if Gary is going to watch the episode, so we'll find out. But yeah, so that is the thing.
And we've got a $9.99 super chat message from Mexican Iron Man who says, "Hail to my brother Loki, welcome, and hail the great Bowlestrek. I know one thing, it's going to be a perfect storm with these two dropping truth, knowledge, and insights. Triple thunder lightning. Hail."
Awesome. Well, thank you, Mexican Iron Man. I wouldn't call myself great, more like old and miserable, but thank you.
And a £2 super chat from Derek McManus who says Godzilla skull for Bowlestrek. Okay.
Well, thank you.
Prepare your ears. I don't know why it turns out like this. I turn the fucking volume down on it and it still does it. So we're going to give you a skull. Derek McManus, Mexican Iron Man. You guys keep the fires burning bright here in Valhalla. Skull! I had no idea I'd be blowing my guests' eardrums out every time I played that, but
no, it's okay. I got an El Cheapo headset, so I could barely hear anything anyway. But yeah, see, I like this. You got production value. I like people that put in production value. I need to be less lazy with my production value.
No, I've watched your videos for a long time. No, you come on and you do what you do, and that's what you do.
And I make people mad. And in fact,
and
we'll see if my fan club shows up in your chat. Because I did the Twitter thing for this, so somebody may show up.
Okay, well, if they do, we are ready. Mexican Iron Man with another $4.99 super chat. Canada is such a beautiful country. This is sad. Sound like it's time to change the name of the song to "Oh No, Canada."
We are. It is a very pretty country. It just has its problems with mismanagement at every level, and we don't celebrate ourselves anymore. We hate ourselves. Our Canada Day celebration. I won't go into the circumstances surrounding it. But our Canada Day celebration was to reflect on how terrible we are. So, yeah. We don't like our country anymore. Sorry, folks.
And Rambling Canuck with a $5 Canadian super chat says, "Complaining about Canada and I'm not on? Hail."
It's, hello, fellow Canuck who rambles. Yeah, well, there's a lot to complain about, but it is nice up here. Most of the time, we have trees, we have rocks, we have lots of lakes. If you like cottage life, actually no, you couldn't do that either because people weren't allowed to go to their cottages. So if you have a cottage, just you think of it off in the distance because you're not allowed to go there. And if you did go to your cottage over the weekend, then you would have to quarantine for 14 days. I'm not making that up.
With nobody there. Yeah, that's just insanity. Absolutely insanity. I things got kind of crazy here, but they weren't that crazy.
Oh, I got to answer a question. Colin P. Smith, he's asking this to Chris Persia. Do you have a majority government? No, at the moment we do not. Our illustrious emperor, Justin Trudeau, somehow, and we're still trying to comprehend exactly how, was reelected 2 years ago to a minority government. But here's the thing, folks. It's propped up by the NDP, also known as the New Democratic Party. If you think the Liberals, which is Trudeau's party, is a woke nightmare, the NDP is they're the Liberals on steroids. They may be the most woke socialist party on this side of the planet. So even though it's a minority government, it's actually worse because a government or a party that's worse than them actually holds the balance of power at the moment. And then we have our conservatives, which somehow managed to lose an election 2 years ago to the liberal government. To be honest, they're not much better. Although our conservative leader, a guy by the name of Aaron O'Toole, we just call him the Tool. At least he did speak out against canceling Canada Day. For those of you who don't know, it's July 1st. Canada Day is our July 4th, except for this year, where you dare not even say anything about Canada Day on Facebook, or you'll be literally canceled. But the Tool did speak out in opposition to canceling Canada Day. So I will give him that, but yeah, it's not good. So Canadians are very complacent about our government at this point because it doesn't matter who's in there. It's equally as bad. When the next election comes up, most people don't care at this point because it's going to be the same crap. Although they may just protest vote and get our conservative party, which is conservative in name only at this point, may get them elected and or at least a minority government to topple our great emperor, but we'll see. And I don't normally talk about politics, and I think that's all I've been talking about for the last 15 minutes. But hey, you get me talking about politics, especially in my own dumpster fire of a country at the moment, then I will go on for hours.
I totally understand. I don't usually talk politics either, but there was the recent cancel 4th of July here, much like cancel Canada Day there. And some of these people, if you celebrate this holiday, you're an ist, you're an obe, you're a Nazi.
See, the good thing about your country, though, is you do have what I will call the reasonable states. So, i.e.,
Yes.
states that aren't California, New York, Washington State, Oregon. I don't know what the hell is going on there. So states like that, but you got your normal states, which are your middle and southern states. So at least you have that.
We do.
And they will speak out. We don't really have that in Canada because people are terrified of speaking out. We do have Alberta, which is like our Texas, but they want to leave the country. Our country is pretty close to breaking up at this point. So, but nobody wants to speak out because it's bad. We're also we're arresting ministers now for holding mass. That's been all over the place. Where the churches are being burnt down now all over the country. So that's uplifting and shows a lot of tolerance. So yeah, at least you have people in your country that have basic common sense. We don't, because those that have common sense will not speak out because you will be canceled and your life will be destroyed.
That's insanity. Absolute insanity. Yeah, there was a bunch of us that were like, hell no, we're to blow shit up and pop off fireworks and raise the flag, and we don't give a shit whether people call us all that shit or not.
And that's why we like you. And that's why we would like to be you. And once upon a time, we were like that. But we're not what you would call polite. We're more what you would call held hostage at this point. And for the stereotype that all Canadians are woke, actually, to be honest, 90% of us aren't. That none of us like the way we're being portrayed, and the way they portrayed Canada is not the reality. People up here are not like that, but we are completely muzzled and we can't speak out about it.
That's absolutely insane.
Yep.
What, if I could ask, how did you get started on YouTube?
Oh, okay. So good. We're leaving politics behind. Yeah. So only 20 minutes in, but yeah, given that I knew it would probably come up. Well, I've been on the YouTube since Moses was a baby, if I could still say that. So my YouTube channel, I created this channel, which you now know as the Grumpy Old Bastard, way back in September 2007. I actually invented it to enter, or I created the channel originally to enter a contest because somebody was giving away a computer. But I uploaded my first video in 2007. Unfortunately, most of the videos from my first year of video creation, they were terrible, but I rather than set them to private because I was stupid back around 2009, I wasn't happy with it, so I literally deleted my first year. And the hard drive that those videos were on crashed and died years ago. So there is no record of my first year on YouTube. So the earliest you can go back now, I think it's like December 2008. I used to be an everything channel. I had no specific focus. I would do DVD updates. I used to do city tours and driving tours back in the day when you could actually hold a camcorder while driving. Haven't been able to do that in a long time. I even somewhere on there have videos unboxing lawnmowers. It was literally just whatever I felt like. And eventually I started doing my Doctor Who DVD updates. I think it was in early-ish 2009, which is what I was known for primarily for the better part of a decade. I also used to do a lot of tech videos. My first video, in fact, and this will date me and my channel a little bit, my first video to cross 10,000 views was in September 2009, and it was a video beta testing Windows 7. So that's how long I've been around. My current style was adopted slowly in 2017, whereas I used to be, you may find this amazing, but I was once an optimistic, happy channel and used to talk about how much I like Doctor Who. So
I can relate.
Oh, yeah.
I used to talk about how much I love Star Trek.
Oh, I do that too. Yeah, I covered Star Trek as well. And most people will notice that I didn't cover anything past the first episode of STD this year, mainly because I watched the first episode and it was awful, and I have to watch these in slow motion because I'm scripting my videos when I do my review, which are mainly just mocking videos now. But I did that, so it was like 3 or 4 very painful hours of slogging through that episode. And my plan originally was to cover most of the season, but I got lucky because my work schedule right after that went insane, so I had to disappear. I was working 70 hours a week. So with STD, all I have watched from season 3 is the first episode. It was awful. I've watched videos of people covering the rest of it, and it seems to have gotten worse. But I did watch, I do this once a year, but I watched Star Trek 2 last night. I tweeted about it, which I think is one of the best movies ever made. Not just one of the best sci-fi movies, but one of the top 10 movies ever made, period. And Agreed. This is coming from somebody that's a movie buff. So once a year, usually in the summer, I will watch even the bad ones, all 10 of the original movies. And it seems to be every year when I watch The Wrath of Khan, it's like it has even more of an impact. And I can't help but put myself in the shoes of someone in 1982, coming off of the, I see Problem Being is here, so I will reiterate this. He likes the motion picture. I think it's kind of shit. So yeah, we were just, I was giving him angry emojis last night when he claimed that he liked it for some reason. Sorry, dude. But I'm thinking of somebody in 1982 coming off the just lackluster sleep fest that was the motion picture, which it's more the motionless picture because it's literally people reacting to a screen for hours. So think back in 1982, someone who had watched that, even the trailers going into The Wrath of Khan, I was like, holy shit, is this the same franchise? And just the difference between those two movies, and just like it blows you away. So Star Trek used to be good. It's unfortunately it's not good anymore. It stopped being good in 2005, and it's sad that it was cut off in 2005 because Enterprise actually became really good near the end.
Yes, that last season,
Star Trek.
Man, that last season of Enterprise, I was so proud of them, and then boof, it was gone.
Well, I'd say it's the last two. And folks, this is what happens, and this never happens anymore. But this is what happens when you listen to the fans. The first two seasons of Enterprise, bar a handful of episodes, were god awful. I don't like Voyager, but Voyager was a masterpiece compared to the first two seasons of Enterprise. They were dull, they were boring. It was recycling plots that had been done over and over again. But Brandon Braga and Rick Berman actually listened to the fans, and they realized, well, people really don't like this. So they brought in Manny Cotto in for season 3, who is more a co-executive producer, and then basically the showrunner. Although he didn't get credit at the end of the episode, but he was the showrunner for season 4. And they said, okay, this is not working. We're going to listen to the fans, and we're going to try something completely different. And people are torn on season 3. I'm like, I love season 3. It's, it's talk about a change. It's a completely different show, which I think is awesome. Whereas now, not only will you not listen to the fans, but it will keep getting worse. So they gave us one season, which was a series-long arc, which I thought was brilliant. I think what they did for season 4, serializing the show, but not a continuing arc, having 2 and 3-part episodes. And I think there's 2 or 3 standalones in there. But with their multi-part episodes, it was absolutely brilliant. Like we got Star Trek back, and then it got canceled, and then it came back in 2009, and everything from 2009 and on, I refuse to call Star Trek.
I don't disagree with you. I absolutely do not disagree with you. The way they started off with Enterprise and the way they ended it started to get better in season 3. And when I saw Archer in Kirk's old uniform, I had a fit. I was like, holy shit, what is going on here?
Yeah.
What have they done? They put Archer in Kirk's uniform, and you know what? It looked good.
Yep. Well, here's what I'll say about Enterprise. Enterprise in the original series are probably the only bits of Star Trek that we could still look at without being reminded of what happened. Whereas the Next Generation it's been ruined for me. For 26 years, we had this great show that we could go back to all the time. Then STP came around, and I've tried watching the Next Generation since then, and I can't. It's like all I can see is where it was headed. I didn't like Voyager anyway, but they completely wrecked 7 of 9. I haven't looked into it, but I know there are the rumors of Deep Space Nine coming back, and God help us. God fucking help us if they ruin that show. So I can't watch Deep Space Nine anymore because I know what may be around the corner. But Enterprise pretty much hasn't been touched. It's been alluded to on STD, but it's mainly because it was stopped dead in its tracks. And for years I wanted to come back. No, please, for the love of God, don't bring back Enterprise. Just leave it where it is. But the original series and the original series movies, in terms of nostalgia, in terms of where they sit with Star Trek fans, I would argue are completely intact. And we have Captain Kirk himself, Mr. William Shatner, to thank for that. Because while everybody has gone woke, he does block everyone, but he has not gone woke. He has spoken out against everything we've seen over the past few years. So I could watch the original Trek movies. I can watch the original series, and it doesn't bug me because I know the person who really is the figurehead for those that's still alive is William Shatner. So I think I can appreciate this because William Shatner never bought this shit, and he's 90 years old. He can do what he wanted. He can do what he wants at this point. And my God, he's 90. He looks like he's 70. I would like Captain Kirk's genes because most of us will be dead at that age.
By incorporating the reboot movies, the JJ movies, into STD, a lot of people say that's a totally different reality. That's not even the reality that TNG comes from. That's a split universe because it's got the Romulan destruction of Romulus and all that. That is part of the JJ verse and not actually the prime timeline from the original series and from TNG.
See, I would argue STD is a completely different timeline because The Gilmore Girls people and
Yes,
incompetent
God.
hacks that are running it don't know anything about the original show. It's a completely separate thing, not only because of the split rights, but just because they literally don't know what the hell they're doing. Star Trek Picard, as much as people want to be in denial, they skirted the 25% rule, but it's in the prime timeline. And keep in mind, Picard is coming out with another season, which, yes, you can add big booming noises and it will make anything look good. But the rights division is also no longer a thing because, for people who don't know, the rights for Star Trek were divided between Viacom was the parent generation, but you had CBS, which owned the TV series, and the Paramount end, which owned the 13 films. And the Paramount end, it was through Bad Reboot and Secret Hideout, which is Bad Reboot, which was on the Paramount side, which is where those rights sprang off because it was the movies. They had the 25% different rule because essentially it was the TV side, CBS, that owned the rights to Star Trek itself, all the properties. Paramount just owned those specific movies. And STD was originally commissioned along with the movies on the Paramount side, so it had to be different. And it was still while Picard was filming, but you can tell they changed a few things, but you could tell they didn't make it clear that it was different, and I would argue that was done intentionally. But now with season 2, they have been the two ends have joined together again in what the hell do they call it now? I don't even know what they call it now. I'll just call it shit. But they now own the two companies are joined, so all the rights to Star Trek are under one roof. So basically, they can do whatever the hell they want, and I think it's going to be made very clear in Picard season 2 because it was made under the new rejoined or reunified rights. They're going to make it very clear that this is part of the prime timeline, and this is what they want. They hate the fans. They think we're all ists and phobes. And this is, it's mean-spirited what they did. They don't care about money because this garbage keeps getting commissioned. They've done 5, soon to be 6 series of absolute shit, and Lower Decks, which I refuse to watch.
That was complete shit.
Yeah, it's everything. It's just to shit on the fans, and it's because they hate us. And why? What is the streaming network, or Paramount Plus, or Paramount bullshit, or whatever the streaming service is called now? Is it worth bankrupting yourselves? I don't care. At this point, with new Star Trek, because I just disassociate everything from 2009 on as being Star Trek. At this point, I'm like, you know what? Keep doing what you're doing because we need these companies to go under, and then something else can take its place.
Definitely supporting independent content creators. We've got a really good writer in the chat with us. He actually co-hosts my Thursday night show with me. He is a published author, Dega Outlaw, and has written some fantastic science fiction. And this is the time for independent content creators that have wonderful ideas, wonderful stories, wonderful books they are trying to get published. This is the time for them because the established IPs are just shitting all over their content. They're shitting all over their fans. They're shitting all over anyone that's been supporting them for the last 40 fucking years. And it's time to say see ya.
Yep. Well, and that's the other thing. Before all this happened, this was 2000. So either 2016 or 2017, where CBS started to be jerks with the Star Trek IP, because we used to have brilliant independent works of fan fiction. Star Trek Continues is, I would call that real Star Trek. That's the only real Star Trek we've had since 2005. It was a brilliant show. It completely captured the vibe, everything of the original series, even down to the lighting. They got spot on. It was well written. And what happened? Well, it was I think in the end there were only 2 episodes that were cut off, but because Paramount wanted to go medieval on the IP shows like Star Trek Continues, and so forth, got canned, and we ended up with this shit. So there are brilliant writers out there. They're not being given the jobs because they aren't woke enough. You look at a show, which is sort of the thing that I primarily cover, well, unfortunately these days, but Doctor Who. There are brilliant fanfic writers in Doctor Who, in the Doctor Who, well, what's left of the Doctor Who fan community, and the people that they're hiring are garbage. Like, there are people that have worked on the show previously that are competent. They're not being given scripts. It's being done by the checkbox. And the Orville is more Star Trek than Star Trek now. Yep. And they're doing everything they can to bury the Orville. How long has season 3 been delayed now? And we, as far as I know, it's still going to be the final Orville, but they don't want the Orville. And there are on current STD, from what I can tell, other than actors and actors who direct, there's nobody who worked on real Star Trek anymore, working on Star Trek. They're all working on the Orville. So that's why it looks like Star Trek. And that's why current Trek hates the Orville.
Yeah, they're doing it better than they are. I mean, 2 seasons, 2 wonderful seasons. And when I first heard that Seth was going to do a series, I was like, oh shit, it's going to be Family Guy in space. That is not
that's what I thought.
what we had gotten.
I thought it was going to be garbage. I didn't even want to watch it. And I'm fully willing to admit when I am wrong. I said this looks, and just looking at the trailers in the first episode, which was closer to the comedic end, I'm like, this looks like complete and absolute shit. So I didn't watch it as it aired for, I think it was the first 2 episodes I missed. And then I saw people talk about it, I watched it, and I'm like, damn, this feels like Star Trek.
Yeah.
And they hate it. And that's why we love it. And the thing you could say is, you have people behind that show, especially Seth MacFarlane. They are leftists, they are woke, but to be honest, you got to give MacFarlane credit. He's largely left that out of the Orville in the way it would have been done in other shows, where the Orville does what shows like Star Trek used to do, where you take an issue, any modern day issue, you use sci-fi, or you tackle it in a sci-fi context, and you look at both sides of the issue, and often it's left up to the audience to decide which is right and which is wrong. And that's what the Orville does. And you have to give MacFarlane credit for that, because he has put his own political views aside. So it can be done. Unfortunately, the every IP now, they are catering to, at the most, 10% of their viewing audience and alienating everyone else. Why? Because you are looking at one side of the issue, and only one side of the issue. And not only are you just looking at that side of the issue, but you are demonizing everybody else that might be on the other side of the issue, which is probably 90% of society. So why do I want to watch a show where I'm going to be lectured to? Why do I want to watch a show where I'm going to be told that I'm terrible? Entertainment, it's escapism. We don't turn on our favorite TV show because we want to learn about the world and the way the world should be seen. No, it's escapism. And they've completely missed that point. Science fiction has gotten the worst out of it, where it's not about entertainment anymore. It's about delivering almost universally unpopular messages. And it's leaked into every franchise. For the longest time, I used to say, well, horror, at least, which is now my favorite genre. I'm a horror fan first before anything else, which is why I don't discuss it on my channel, because I don't want to ruin it for myself. But for the longest time, it's horror seemed to get away from this, where because it was a smaller, more niche audience, you kind of had to cater to the audience that you had. Well, unfortunately, horror has gone woke. Blumhouse, my God. We have... we had The Craft, or The Craft reboot. And when even, someone who tries to avoid, like when even Chris Stuckman is calling your movie out as woke, you've got a problem. They had The Craft. What was the other one? Oh, Black Christmas, which Stuckman also called out. And other, reviewers that try and avoid controversy call out, but these are some of the most woke pieces of shit to be released in the past few years. So they've gotten their hands into horror. I don't watch. I watch very little modern day entertainment. To be honest, literally, other than watching shows to make fun of and review, the only thing from current year that I watch is home renovation shows on HGTV. Yes, we all have our guilty pleasure. I like the renovation shows. Literally that's about all that I could watch now without grinding my teeth from modern entertainment. Everything else is just absolute shit. So for my own entertainment, I'm living in the 70s, 80s, and 90s with my my thousands of horror Blu-rays. So I'm happy with that. I like living in the past. The less time that I have to spend in this year that we call 2021, the better it is, because there is absolutely nothing good about this year. Nothing. There's nothing good after about 2017, which is when everything started to collapse. Everything after 2017 just sucks. And you could date it from anything that was conceived around 2014, 2015. It's just garbage.
Psychodorm 9 with the $2 super chat says, that's why I'm buying anime.
I need to get into anime. Out of all the genres I've been into, anime, it's not that I have anything against anime. I just never really got into it. Although for anime, and I will give this credit out of all the garbage studios, at least DC with the animated movies, largely because they've dropped New 52. So now it's all shot for shot reenactments of series and graphic novels and so forth. So they're true to the content. They actually give fans what they wanted, because a lot of this is based off stuff that came out decades ago. You can still enjoy it. So I watch those. It's not animated, but it's animated. So that's the closest I get. But I will still watch those until they go woke and they start reworking older stuff. Which
have you seen Long Halloween Part 1?
Yes, I have.
I love that movie.
I picked it up on release day, and I've watched it twice actually. I don't think some people will complain a little bit about the animation occasionally being wonky. To be honest, that doesn't bother me. Like, it's not like they have a massive budget for these, because it's a very niche audience, and it is direct to video, direct to streaming. But other than that, I thought it was fine. It's DC very rarely misses. I think the biggest mistake they made was when they adapted The Killing Joke and added whatever the hell that first half hour was supposed to be. But here's the thing: there's actually a chapter break right before the actual Killing Joke is. So if you avoid sexy time with Batman and just go right to that, it's perfectly fine. They should have made it a double feature. So occasionally they will drop the ball, and they drop the ball in a big way there. But generally, they're one of the few things out there where I can buy, and I know it's not going to be shit. And New 52 is done, which I'm glad, because that easily could have become a woke disaster if they would have continued into now, which I think it's been done for about 2 years now.
Yeah.
So so that's what I could watch. I can watch my my DC animated movies and HGTV, and that's it.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with one of my buddies, Clobbering Time, who does the comic book roundtable with us on Tuesday.
Oh yeah, Clobbering Time. Actually, yeah, we have streamed together as well.
Really? I did not know that. So Clobbering Time. He said,
oh yeah, he's been following me on Twitter, God, for years, since I brought my Twitter account back from the dead. Like, I think it was 4 years ago now. I actually managed to avoid using Twitter for like 3 or 4 years, and life was awesome. And then I went back, and now it sucks.
Yeah. I love it to network. I loved it to use it as a network tool. But besides that,
well, that is until you get kicked off. Problem being is in here, Lee, how many times have you been banned or taken off Twitter? I have. I've had 2 12-hour suspensions, and one, get this, was for bullying the BBC.
Ah,
Like, I bullied a corporation and I was kicked off. And this was like 3 weeks later where Twitter caught up and they're like, yeah, this is bullying. The tweet was, from what I remember, it was before the god awful Christmas special reared its head, and it was something about the Daleks. And my quote directly to the BBC Doctor Who page was, just go fuck off and exterminate yourselves already, or something like that. Something, Daleks, exterminate yourself. And yeah, no, I got kicked off Twitter for 12 hours for telling the BBC, a corporation, to exterminate itself. Yeah, so yeah, oh my God, it's that many now? Damn. And as far as I know, yeah, Az is still kicked off.
Yep.
I think he's been kicked off for like 4 weeks now.
which is bullshit because I got mine overturned. I said the exact same thing he did, and I got mine overturned within a couple of hours.
Everybody said that. It's a goddamn quote from a show, but the people that run the twatter are idiots, and they hate us. Well, I know I'm on their bad list. They don't like me. I have little groups there that make it their mission to cancel me, so I get everything reported. God knows how many times they've tried to take down my YouTube channel, but they have taken me down on Twitter a few times. So it's fun times.
Clobberin says, I'm a huge Bowlestrek fan. He's the man.
Well, thank you, Clobberin. You are awesome, and we shall stream together again soon. It's and I do have to apologize if anybody's watching. It's my stream time is literally, it's Saturday for a couple hours, and that's the only time I can actually do it. I know there are a few people out there that are waiting for me to schedule streams. I will do it. I'm trying to coordinate stuff. There is a larger stream that I'm working on right now, which we will announce later. It also involves me having to watch something which is going to make me want to tear my eyes out. So I have to get over that too. And then there's a few others. So I will get back to everyone. It's insane to coordinate this stuff. But yeah, so anybody that's waiting for me, I am behind on my DMs. I will go through them, and I will try and stream more often because no, I'm not dead. I'm just busy.
I've had to turn a bunch of people down in the last couple of weeks because I'm in the middle of moving.
And, I did that. Oh no, that was my that was last summer. Well, I people will notice I disappear from YouTube for extended periods of time. Yeah, no, I when I moved into my current house last summer, yeah, it was like 3 weeks in hell. So yeah, I wasn't doing much of any. I was just going to work and then moving stuff. And when you have a Blu-ray collection, which is around 4,000, I think maybe over 4,000 now.
Yeah,
it takes a while to move that. Not to mention, I have crates and crates of comic books, which I don't even know what's in there because they've been packed up since the 90s. But I'm moving all that. I got to go and audit those. But yeah, it's moving sucks.
Yeah,
I hired movers, but I only hire movers for the heavy stuff. Everything else, because you're paying through the ass to get these moved, so I don't want them moving boxes. So for weeks before and weeks after, I was moving box after box at a time in my SUV, and yeah, I had no time to do anything. So yeah, I know moving sucks. I don't want to move again.
No, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I've got movers, but that's for heavy shit like this big ass wooden oak desk I got and shit like that, a shelf. Big ass oak shelf that I've got. I'm not using them for anything else. No boxes. Well, even though I've got a truck, I'll load it myself if it comes to that.
Well, what sucks is the one thing that I wanted to move. I used to have this massive pullout coach, which it survived like 5 or 6 moves, and that was like the one thing. Like it was so big. Like my brother is a pickup. And even this, we couldn't safely actually fit this mammoth thing into his pickup truck. So that was anything else I probably could have moved in his truck and my SUV. But it was mainly that, which is the one thing that we couldn't move. So I got it here. And 2 months after I moved here, the damn thing collapsed. And then I had to go through the hell of moving the thing back out because we damaged the wall and I had to undamage it. So we damaged it again. My brother and I just kind of ripped the thing apart. But yeah, so I had if I just moved them in trucks, I probably could have done it that way. But no, I wasted several $100s for this damn coach. And given the way things are now, I bought my new coach in, I think it was the first week of October. I think it was the end of January when I finally got it delivered.
Oh, shit.
So all I had in my living room was, and my I wouldn't sit on it, but my dog likes her coach. So for months, in my fancy renovated house, I had this busted ass green coach for my dog. So it was pathetic.
Yeah, but you got moved, and that's what matters.
That's the thing. Like moving, because I've done it so many times. It's like you're anticipating the move, and especially when you pack that first box, you're like, oh my god, I think of all this, and then you move the first box into your new house or new apartment or whatever, and then you think of all the shit that you got to do. But there's always that feeling once all the big crap is moved, yeah, it's in your new place, it's in piles, and everything's a disaster. But there's the relief. That part's over.
That's done. The hard part's over now. It's just putting shit up, getting it the way I want it, making little additions here and there. Yeah.
Well, I'm one of those people where I have boxes that have been packed away literally for 10 years. And like my crates of comic books and several other boxes. Although it's nice, those I have a completely renovated room in my basement, which I don't use for anything. It's stacked to the roof with boxes.
Yeah. I've got 5 totes in my closet right now that have comic books, shit from like picture albums, shit from my childhood. And there's some things you just don't unpack. I grew up in a Navy family, so we were constantly moving. Yeah, we were always moving. And it wasn't until they moved to Texas that all of that stopped. And then I spent 20 years there and then started moving again. I was like, I took a 20-year break from moving and was like, nope, never going to do it. And now I've moved like, I think 5 times in the last 10 years.
Well, it's like I have to do an inventory because I know some of the stuff that's in there. Like I stopped collecting comics aside from like the occasional graphic novel and stuff that I found on sale. In around the mid to late 90s, and I lost a crate with a bunch of books, comics in it. It had all the issues of All-Star Superman and stuff like that in there, which sucked. But I'm thinking of the stuff that I have here. Like I have my dad's comics from the 50s. I've got most of the Spider-Man series from the mid 80s through mid 90s. At least I hope most of it is still there. I've got all the old Star Trek comics. I actually have in one of the crates, I have all the Simon and Schuster audiobook tapes, which I ripped to my PC probably 15 years ago. They're probably unplayable at this point. I've got a crate full of all my Star Wars figures from the 80s. I don't know. They're not worth what they would have once been because of Star Wars. So I've got that and just other random crap. But yeah, I have to go through there and just because some of this stuff has got to be worth something. I just have to figure out what I actually have. Although I've been planning on doing this inventory since about 2011. So 10 years into it and I'm still procrastinating.
Yeah, I just recently found out I've got this unlimited. It's an unlimited X-Men Unlimited #1. And it's black and white. It's line art. The cover is colored, but the inside's all black and white. I read through that thing over and over and over and over. And I saw just the other day when we were looking at comics, I saw a slabbed version of that going for $10,000. And I was like, son of a bitch.
Yep.
Son of a bitch.
Well, it's like some of my Blu-rays, which go into the thousands. I think the best deal I got was the Dawn of the Dead, the original Romero Dawn of the Dead. I bought it at Best Buy in 2010 on the bargain shelf for $7.99. So it was a cheap shelf. Within a few months, it went out of print. For the better part, there has been a limited release, and there's been releases overseas. But for the better part of a decade, you could not get that film on Blu-ray. At one point, looking at Amazon and what people were asking for it, that one Blu-ray was going for over $1,000.
That's crazy.
I think it's at one point Doctor Who: The Web Planet, the original DVD, which is one of the worst stories from the series. But apparently they weren't expecting it to sell much when it came out in 2006 before it went into print on demand a few years ago. But I have a feeling it had a very low print run because it was one of the first things to go out of print, but it had actually been unavailable for a while. At one point, so if you're a Doctor Who fan, try and fathom this, if you know what I'm talking about. At one point, North America, Region 1, Doctor Who, The Web Planet, the DVD, I think this was maybe around 2012, 2013, was selling for $3,000.
That's crazy.
And I bought it for $24. It's not worth anything now because it's back in print and the Blu-rays are coming out. But yeah, at one point, that was the most expensive thing I had in my entire collection. Wow. Probably should have sold it.
There is, I know I've got one of those Star Wars books that's hard act that was at the end. It was towards the tail end of the New Jedi Order, Legacy of the Force books, and that was right as Disney was buying it, and for whatever reason, they just did a first run of that in hardback, and that's it. I think that goes for a couple $1,000 now. If it's of course.
That Disney merger, one thing that I was kicking myself over for years, one of the holes in my collection is the Clone Wars Blu-rays, the series. For years, I had it in my cart on Amazon. It usually sold for around $100. And just kept putting it off. It went out of print. I don't think Disney's bringing it back into print, but now that's going for, last time I checked, at least in Canada, I think like $600-700 if you can even find it. But yeah, when you're talking about the books, one thing that I've gotten into lately because I'm pissed off with Big Finish. Often what I do when I'm at work is I listen to audiobooks.
Yes.
So it used to be Big Finish, but I'm beyond pissed off with Big Finish now. So I have actually revisited the Simon and Schuster audiobooks, the abridged books with which started with Star Trek 4 in 1986 and ended with, I can't remember the name right now, but the last Shatner novel in 2006. So for 20 years, I'm listening to them now after years of not listening to them. Like, they were damn good. And actually, come to think of it, in one of my crates, I've got probably most of the first 100 of those Star Trek pocket books as well, plus some of the hardcovers. But I'm listening to that, and somebody mentioned in the chat, if you know what I'm talking about, the Star Trek audiobooks, they were abridged version of books. It's funny because they used this pretty much the same soundtrack and incidental music for 20 years. But now that incidental music itself is just as nostalgic to me as the music from the TV series.
Yes.
But so I've been making my way through those again. No point checking out the novelizations, because the recent audiobooks, because for some reason they're writing STD books and STP books, and I have no idea who's buying this shit. But no, if you know what I'm talking about, does somebody tell me? The Simon and Schuster Star Trek abridged audiobooks on tape, which ran for 20 years. The early ones were narrated with George Takei, and Spock would always do these interludes, which was voiced by Leonard Nimoy. James Doohan did them for years. William Shatner did his own line of novels, which tells you a lot about generations, because William Shatner retconned it himself in book form. So I think there's either 9 or 10 books.
He did. He came back.
Series. Yep, he came back.
Yes, he did. I remember reading those when they were coming out and thinking, God, why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do this? And the thing with the Borg, when Spock meets the Borg for the first time, and they're like, you've already been assimilated once. And everybody's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Spock never got assimilated. But he mind melded with V'ger, and V'ger was a product of the Borg, or V'ger created the Borg, some weird shit like that. But it made sense, and it was really good.
Oh, yeah. It's... what I plan on doing with the Shatner series, the 9 or so, really, it's either 9 or 10. I haven't listened to any of those since 2006, when the last one came out, which was the final proper release. But I plan on listening to them all again in a row. The first one, which, God, I can't remember the name of it now either, but I know it came out in 94. 95. I haven't listened to that one since probably 96. But it's forward thinking. It was around 2005, 2006, where I'm like, well, I got this collection. Some of these tapes are now 20 years old. So I took the time when I still had a decent cassette player and ripped the whole series to my PC. So I'm kind of glad I did that because, well, I guess tapes are in again and cool, but I guarantee some of these are 30 years old, so there's no way they're playing now.
You can get them on Audible, Mr.
Oh, yeah.
CCD. I know I got a lot of the Star Wars ones on Audible.
Well, that's Audible is where I got the last few. I think starting from the 2000 releases, because by that point I wasn't buying them on tape. I eventually picked them up on Audible. The problem with those, or at least Audible at the time, is they were horrendous quality. I think Audible is close to lossless now. I haven't used it in years, but I think they're better now. I may actually purchase the last 6 years of releases just because I have those god awful Audible transfers.
And they've got some really good Star Wars ones on there too. They've got the Thrawn trilogy, and those are unabridged. So those are like 19-hour listens. So when you see that price tag, you're like, $25. Yeah, but you're getting 19 hours of book.
See, that's the thing. I've never listened to any of the Star Wars. I in terms of the novels in the expanded universe, I never really got into that out of my sort of my sci-fi geekdom. The two big ones for me have always been Doctor Who and Star Trek, and other shows like Quantum Leap, Sliders. Although I am one of those kids that was obsessed with Star Wars back in the 80s. I was 5 years old, but I do remember watching episode 6 in the theaters. But I was never really I loved the show up until I loved the movies up until what happened in 2017.
Yeah.
But I've never really been an obsessive Star Wars fan.
Well, if I know you're a big Star Trek fan, Star Trek fan. Find the original radio drama for Star Wars, because Avery Brooks plays Darth Vader.
Damn, he would have been young.
Yeah, if you wanna hear a holy shit, it's Avery Brooks as Darth Vader, check out the original radio drama. I could not believe it when I found out. I was like, God, that voice sounds so familiar. Where have I heard that voice? I'm holy shit, that's Cisco.
Except, like I said, I'm actively avoiding Deep Space Nine and everything because of the rumors of what's coming up, and I believe Avery Brooks himself is a little bit woke. He has a reputation of not being very nice in real life. He was very distant from everyone. So I'm just avoiding that because I don't want to get back into Deep Space Nine and related stuff. I just have it ruined for me. So Deep Space Nine has gone back on the DVD shelf for probably a very long time.
And that's so sad that's what it's come to, that's what they've done. And I don't know if that's what they were trying to do. I don't know if that was the point, or if it's just this Gilmore Girl set of writers, like you said. I've been saying that for years. What do you mean? Oh, well, they've got a whole thing.
Well, the thing is other people made the point probably better than I could, but they thought, and it was all this really the center point of this was the 2016 U.S. election. At that point, they all thought the world was going to go in one direction, and it didn't. It did eventually, but in 2016, it didn't. But by this point, everything that was in development was on the woke side, but the world went in the other direction. Well, they refused to accept this, and by this, I'm saying 99.9999.5% of Hollywood. They refused to accept that it had gone in the other direction, so they kept pushing further and further in the other direction. At one point, it obviously was no longer about money. It was about pushing ideology, because look at the not hundreds of millions, billions of dollars that have been lost. And these billions of dollars is worth spreading their message for. So it's a bunch of elitists, people that don't live in the real world. People, because they've been coddled all their lives, think they are superior to the rest of us, that want to lecture to the rest of society. And performance be damned. It's mean-spirited, because they're deliberately destroying franchises. I think at this point they're not dumb. They know nobody's going to watch this. They don't care. And for some reason, the studios don't care either, which is why now I'm pushing for it. I'm like, yes, completely wokeify it. Just make Star Wars complete shit show. MCU. I haven't watched Loki, but I haven't heard good things. Just, you know what? Push Disney off a goddamn cliff.
Yeah.
Just bankruptcy. And let these IPs be picked up. Because here's the thing. The best stories, the best movies, the most creative stuff has never come from big budget blockbusters. It's popcorn. Well, it used to be popcorn bullshit. Now it's woke bullshit. But the best stuff, and this is why I love horror, and there is still non-woke stuff coming out in horror from smaller studios. But this is why I always loved horror, because smaller movies made with smaller budgets to a smaller audience. There are so many talented people out there right now that could be making brilliant work. They are, just nobody's seeing it. It costs a fraction of what it once did to create a TV series that looks like a motion picture, or a cheap movie that looks like a motion picture. That's what I want to see. I want to see the rise of the independent creative. What I've been talking about is I want to see the death of the celebrity.
Yes.
We're all sick. And, this is since the 70s. Well, really since the dawning of Hollywood, but it's really bad now. Where at any given time you have maybe 30, maybe 40 actors in Hollywood that get every goddamn movie. So every movie that comes out has to be Will Smith. No, I'm sick of Will Smith. Tom Cruise, although Tom Cruise isn't woke because he's nutty in his own, so I'll give him credit for that. But no, and the celebrity. I'm tired of movies being star vehicles, which is what we see decade after decade, and now it's getting worse. No, we don't need that anymore. And really, are they worth their salaries? No, because most of them, I'm sorry, are not great actors. They just got lucky. It's like, no, you have so many talented people. You have so many talented actors that nobody's hearing from. That's why I want Hollywood to implode, because I want the focus to be on just telling us a good story. It's like, why does Star Trek, the original series, hold up, or at least the first 2 seasons and some of the third? Why does classic Doctor Who stand up? These, even for their time, were not massive budget productions, but it's the stories, which is why we're still invested in these 5 decades later. You don't need big budgets to tell a good story. And that's what I want to see happen. I want to see Hollywood as we know. I want it done. I don't even want it to be centered in Los Angeles, because I think that's part of the problem. Just center it wherever you want to make it. Hopefully in the states that have common sense. Just give me a good story. And, don't cast movies around the goddamn actor, because people are sick of it. And you can tell based on how these movies are performing. Your old model doesn't work. Your old model is dead.
No, and you brought up Marvel, and you brought up Loki, and you haven't seen Loki yet. It is not Loki the show. It is Sylvie the show. It is the Enchantress the show. I don't know why the hell they named it Loki, but it is not the Loki show. It is the Sylvie Enchantress show. They have introduced a new female character, and that is what the show is about. It's not about Loki, unless you're looking at Loki getting kicked in the balls or kicked in the teeth or drugged through the ground or made fun of. It is the Sylvie Enchantress show.
It's for one of the things that I haven't announced yet, but one thing that I'm working on is I actually have to sit through all of them. And actually, one question here that I saw come up. How do you change the sound of your voice? This is from Mr. CCDV. I'm curious. It's fantastic. Well, I kind of suck, and when it comes to live streams, I'm all over the place. I actually don't do anything to my voice, unless it's the goat, obviously, or maybe the goat's real. We don't know. But no, when I'm recording videos, this is my video setup. Is literally, it's a Yeti mic that I bought 5 years ago. I use a sock as my pop filter, because I'm cheap, and I actually find it works really well. So I use that. I use Audacity. I don't do anything to my voice. All I do is noise reduction, because I've got stuff going on in the background. So I remove all that. But that's the only thing I do to my the audio. Like they are edited, because my videos since 2017 have been scripted. So they are recorded. They're edited. Sometimes there's multiple takes. But unless it's the goat, no, it's just my voice. I sound different when I'm not screaming. When I'm screaming, which I do a lot, although I am trying not to do as much. My voice for some reason goes into a higher pitch. But no, it's all me. It's my middle-aged voice, which still works, sort of.
Psychodorp9 has a $2 super chat and says, Holly Weird is where trends go to die.
Yep.
And thank you so very much, Psychodorf9, for that $2 super chat. You and everyone else who has sent in a super chat today, keep the fires of Valhalla burning bright, and we're going to throw you a dollar bill, guys. Skol!
A dollar? I've never seen a dollar. Nobody's got a dollar. Let us see the dollar. There it is. It's beautiful. Take your hat off, boy. That's a dollar bill.
And Mr. CCD says, I know you can't hear me laughing, but I'm out of my chair. The GOAT is the GOAT by Colin P. Smith.
Well, I don't want to dox the GOAT. He may be real. He may not be. I don't know who voices him because he's real. No, I'm not making this up. The level of triggering from the GOAT is hilarious. 2 years ago, the GOAT put up a video of Jodie Whittaker's birthday where she dressed like an idiot, and the GOAT made fun of her, and people are still triggered about that video to this day. They said apparently my GOAT making fun of Jodie Whittaker dressed as a princess was apparently a hate crime. So the fact that people got triggered that badly by a talking goat that sounds like a chipmunk is absolutely hilarious, which is why he appears more to piss people off than anything else. And at one point they're like, I think they were convinced that I thought the GOAT was real. He may be, he may not be, but no, they took it dead serious. They thought I needed to be institutionalized because I thought the talking goat was real. I'm not making this stuff up. This is what happens on Twitter when you're on my page.
We had a guy working for us at the beginning of Mornings of Mischief called Chopper Dan. The reason why we had Chopper Dan is someone made the comment, oh, you're going to do a morning show? What are you going to do? Do the traffic report? And I was like, hey, you know what? That's not a bad idea. Hey, Loki, we're down here on the 9. We got SJWs everywhere. They're just burning this motherfucker down. Back to you, Loki. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Chopper Dan. Thank you. So I just fucking ran with it. I was like, fuck it. You know what? Yeah, we'll have the traffic report. We'll have the SJW traffic report every morning.
Yep. Well, I could do that. No, the Canadian traffic report right now is easy. Well, a few weeks ago. So there are no cars on the road. Nobody's allowed to go into work. Nobody's allowed to shop. Nothing's here. Okay, good. We're done.
There ain't no one down here on the roads, eh?
Yeah. See, I've actually, it's funny because I never thought of myself as having a Canadian accent until I actually started scripting my videos. And at that point, I learned that I actually say a boot, apparently, because I do it in live stream. So I go through and I actually, when I'm scripting things, I actually underline it. It's about. But yeah, no, it's the traditional Canadian accent. That's our maritime provinces, Newfoundland and friends. It's a different country over there. But yeah, apparently I have a Canadian accent.
Purple Valkyrie has a £5 super chat for us and says, really loving this chat between two awesome content creators. Thank you, Loki and Bowlestrek. Thank you, Purple.
Awesome. Thanks, Purple.
And Trinoculus P with a $5 super chat says, Bowlestrek's Batwoman reviews were hilarious.
Oh, thank you. Oh, yeah, and I do have to apologize for that because I only got 2 videos done this year. Again, this is because my life is insane. I don't know if it's even been renewed or not, or God, I may do more woke Batman videos when it comes back. I wasn't able to do anything past the 2nd episode this year because work again went insane. And those videos are actually the longest to produce. So I literally need like 12 hours to put one of those together because I have to sit through the episode with constantly pausing. So it's about 3 hours just to get through the episode. Then I have to write my script. And for one of those, it's like 4 single-space pages on average. Then I have to record the script, which takes multiple times. Then I have to edit the script through multiple takes. And then you'll notice there's a lot of still image cuts, so it takes hours to get those together. So that's kind of why I had to put the kibosh on Woke Batman this year. I just literally didn't have the 12 hours to put them together anymore. But I will be doing that for Doctor Who. God help me. But, yes. And if the goat happens to review an episode, the goat is a whole other thing, because the individual who may or may not be responsible for the goat's voice, who may or may not be me, it's may or may not be a pain in the ass to get the voice just right and get the pitch just fine in my editing suite. So yeah, that'll probably be like a 20-hour video.
And Real Wild Nation, no, I have not seen The Tomorrow War yet. It is on my list. I've been packing up. I'm moving next week, so it's been absolutely nuts lately.
Is that the Chris Pratt movie on Amazon?
Yep.
Okay. I will watch Chris Pratt because he is one of the few that has proved he is not an idiot.
He doesn't take a knee either.
No, I will support him just for that. Even though I hate the celebrity, you do have the handful of celebrities that aren't idiots. So hail Chris Pratt.
Hell yeah, hail Chris Pratt. He won't take a knee. That's what I like about him. He won't take a knee. He's like, you know what, I'm going to be who I'm going to be, and if you don't like it, well, don't have me around.
Yep.
It's that simple. And that's
imagine young Clint Eastwood in these days.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh God, imagine old Clint Eastwood in these days.
He wouldn't give a shit.
Nope.
Get off my lawn.
Oh, I love that. Oh God, I love that movie.
He just doesn't care, and I don't understand why more actors and actresses aren't like that. You've got this thing just recently with Scarlett Johansson. Oh, well, we need to be this and we need to be that. Oh, I'm doing this. And, oh, I'm doing that. And she's going to be behind the camera now directing over at Disney because, you know, toxic male.
Yeah, I do. I must apologize for the video I made. I think it was 2 years ago where I defended Scarlett Johansson. Yeah, she's kind of come out as an idiot. I have to remove that video. Yeah, occasionally I do take videos down when I'm just so far off base on something. And yeah, that one's coming down. But yeah, no, Gran Torino is one of my. That's in my top 10 list of favorite movies. I love that video, and it's filmed in Detroit in like one of the only streets in Highland Park that isn't a burnt down war zone. I used to live only 2 hours from Detroit, so I've had some adventures in that city.
It's one of those movies that it doesn't matter how long ago it was made, you can still watch it.
Yep, and it was 2009, but it does, and this is, you know, there are very important racial issues that are brought up in that movie, and Clint Eastwood does see the error of his ways. There is a way of doing this without talking down to your audience.
That's right.
That's how these things used to be done. Yes. I think that's one of the reasons why I like Gran Torino, even though I'm apparently one of the biggest ists on the internet. No, one of my favorite movies of all time is somebody being shown the error of his ways and no longer being racist. And a brilliant movie. And I would also rank The Mule pretty high in Eastwood movies, which it's 2-3 years old now. Another brilliant film.
It's the difference between letting you walk away and make your own conclusions and own decisions and shaming you into some kind of compliance.
Yeah, and by the end of that movie, you know, we understood Eastwood. And they also didn't completely vilify him for being racist either. I'm like, you know, he was Korea War veteran. You know, this is somebody who was traumatized. And you see him for what he is. You know, at the beginning, he's this hard-nosed guy, but then you learn, you know, why he is that way. Obviously, this is somebody who's been suffering from PTSD for decades, and then you see, no, people can change. I'm like, yeah, this is a brilliant movie. We would never see it told that way today.
That's right, and it wouldn't be okay. That
Yep.
film would not be. That film would not be okay today. Period.
No, because because you'd understand Eastwood and you'd understand where he's coming from. You're not allowed to do that anymore. There are no more multi-dimensional characters. Either you're an ist or you're not. And an entire race, gender, and sexual orientation is now going to be an ist regardless of what it is. And this is one thing that pisses me off, being that, you know, I am at the younger end of Gen X. I was a teenager in the 90s, And I could tell the kids that were decades off from even existing at that point. I was in the 90s. This world that you're saying, and the 80s, this world that you're saying existed, I'm sorry, it didn't exist. The 90s was actually by far the most inclusive decade.
That's right.
But you guys, and it's all ego, you want to say you're the ones that changed society. No, actually, it was people many decades older than you that actually changed society. You're just claiming you changed society, but what you're actually doing is destroying society, and you're undoing everything that generations before you did, which is why race relations now, especially in the US and well everywhere, are the worst they've been in probably a century at this point. So no, we fixed it. You people destroyed it.
Yeah, and for years, for decades, Hollywood got away from the white hat, black hat. They pushed and pushed and pushed to get away from the white hat, black hat, to make anti-heroes, to make people that were more real than just good or evil. And now we are at this point again where things are either good or evil. And it's not you who needs to decide what's good or evil. It's them just telling you this is what is good, this is what is evil, and if you do not look at it like we do, you are evil.
Well, there's another example from another one of my top 10 all-time favorite movies, which is Terminator 2, which I think the most amazed I've ever been in the theater is a young 13-year-old Bowlestrek watching that for the first of what I think was like 8 times seeing it in the theater.
Yes.
But, you know, when you look at the way SJW attitudes, or NPC, I don't even know what it's called now. I just don't care. You know, the way these things used to be dealt with, because we were realists back then. And there's one famous scene, well, to me it's famous as a contrast to today, where you have Linda Hamilton. This is, you know, right before the climax. But she's going on about what we would call SJW things, and John Connor pretty much just tells her to shut up. This is what it used to be. It's like, you know, we call things the way they are, and don't talk out of your ass. We wouldn't see that today. The whole movie would be like that.
Yeah.
Well, we did have a whole movie like that.
Dark future, or whatever the fuck they called it.
I watched it once. It was awful. Well, here's the funny thing about what we'll call new old Hollywood. Hollywood as it was before it did its faceplant. Yeah, in 2019 was the worst for just woke disaster after woke disaster, which is funny because the end of Hollywood before everything was shut down, when film historians look at this a century from now, it toppled, and the last major film to come out was Birds of Prey. But I have seen these movies, and I'm actually, so from the 2019, I have seen them all. At one point, I actually had a friend who used to buy movies, and then he'd rip them, so I'd get all the major releases for free, because no way in hell was I spending my own money on them. Well, no, I didn't watch Men in Black International because I don't want to gouge my eyes out with a fork. I didn't watch Charlie's Angels because it was just as bad, but I did check out the other franchise movies. So X-Men Dark Phoenix, I've never seen a movie where you can tell every actor involved just plain didn't give a shit. It's actually funny to watch just for that. It's just such, like, they're not even trying to act. It's like everybody, you could tell everybody involved just wanted this to be over with. Dark Fate is a pile of shit. It's like, what would happen if they did Terminator 2 in 2019? Well, that's what you get. Birds of Prey, beyond the wokeness, and this movie is woke and anti-male to a comedic level, but beyond that, I was actually, just from the standpoint of filmmaking itself, I am still in shock at how badly made this movie is. It actually has if you want to stomach watching it, watch the ADR. It has the worst additional dialogue recording for anybody who doesn't know. So this is audio that they'll record after the fact in a studio. It has the worst ADR I've ever seen. And it looks like the entire movie was ADR'd from what I could tell, not even attempting to match it up to what you're seeing on screen. It has the most incomprehensible soundtrack I've ever seen, where nothing matches what's going on screen. It actually has the worst directing decisions I've ever seen, where it literally, the film looks like it was filmed by a 9th grade wannabe film studies student. It's awful on every level. I could say that Birds of Prey might be the worst movie I've ever seen. I will watch The Room any day over this because The Room is awful, but that's why we love The Room, because it's absolutely hilarious. You have so bad it's bad, so bad it's funny. Well, this is beyond that. This is so bad it's funny, being so bad that it's actually so bad that it's bad. It's unbelievable. I would recommend, if you can stream it for free, just watch it. It'll be the biggest piece of shit you've ever seen on your screen. I will say it here, Birds of Prey, even wokeness aside, might be the worst film I've ever seen. The script also makes no sense. The dialogue is ridiculous. It's just fucking terrible.
And they hurt the characters too. They hurt the damn characters. When I saw Harley Quinn, when I saw Harley snorting the powder that was dropping off of that crate in the evidence room, I was like, dude, Harley never needed nothing like that. She's all like, oh, I'm crazy now because I did this. No, bitch. The character's crazy, period. That's why everybody loved her, because she was insane.
Don't love her now. I can't stand the character. In fact, even in the animated films, which actually does Harley Quinn properly, it's even ruined that for me. But no, but watch the movie, watch the dialogue. I'm like, my God, how did this get to screen? How was this made by a major film studio? How was this only a few months after Joker?
Yeah.
See, I said I wouldn't yell in this one, but now I'm yelling.
How was that after Joker?
Yep. Oh, DC is done. I haven't actually seen Justice League, the Snyder cut. I will probably get it on 4K when it comes out because I'm curious. We had to buy a separate streaming service on top of the streaming service we already have in Canada. And it would have been more expensive than just buying the physical copy. So I will pick up that because I am curious. I want to watch both cuts back to back, even though Zack Snyder, was a bit of an ass, although I think there was some studio interference there when I look at it after the fact. I think they saw some people that he was working with and shit themselves, which then just brought them more bad press. But I honestly think Snyder was pushed into those things he said. Which I'm like, the movie's out. What are they going to do? Take you off the movie? They've already told you at that point. They're not making any more. They're not going to make this universe that looked like it may have been interesting. No, everything that they've got on their slate looks like pure shit.
Psychic over 9 with $5 super chat says Civil War John Brown. If there was an anti-slavery war, he was going to start one. Now, why am I thinking about family history?
Mm-hmm.
And no, you're right. I did watch the Snyder cut. I believe it's a better film than Whedon's. I think it's a much better film. It's a lot longer, but it's a better film. The soundtrack, though, the soundtrack for Justice League, the first one was better. I think they screwed up. They rearranged some of the soundtrack, and it just wasn't as good as the original as far as soundtrack goes.
Well, I think what I'm going to do with that is that's going to be like I've got my end point for so many things. That will be my end point for DC. The second last movie is Joker, even though it's outside of the universe. And then my last movie will be the Snyder Cut. Even though I did get Birds of Prey for free and I just keep it as an oddity. I might actually rip that one. And I'm debating doing a I think it may have a digital copy. Oh, no, actually, no, that's been used. But I'm debating, although it would take me forever to put it up, to make a detailed video about that movie, about what a goddamn, outside of the wokeness, what a goddamn disaster it is. And I think I've been going on about that for like 20 minutes now.
You rant what you're passionate about. I've told people that all the time. When you're passionate about something, when you're excited about something, you rant about it, or you rage about it, or you get upset about it, and you don't want to stop.
Well, what I've learned is there needs to be a balance between, and this is something that's new for me. Given that you've watched, I did 2 years of literally yelling into a microphone. What I've learned and what I'm now implementing is you have to have a balance between the ranting and actual analysis. So that's what I'm doing now. I still want to do the ranting, but I want my videos to be more, go back to what they once were, which is more analytical in nature, where I will not swear, I won't yell. I will explain in terms that make sense without frothing at the mouth why something doesn't work. So that's kind of, if you say after 14 years, if I've grown as a YouTuber, well, that's my latest growth. I made my videos one way, then went to a completely different way of making videos very quickly. Now I'm balancing between those two styles. But there is something cathartic for being angry and screaming into a mic, which I do, and I know for my viewers, it's cathartic. But there's also, you can't do that all the time. You have to rationally explain why something doesn't work. So that's, and I think the fact that I was gone from YouTube for months probably helped in that, where I was able to reevaluate things. And I purposely put out 2 videos over the span of, I think there was 3 weeks in between them. Both were Doctor Who related, just kind of as a test to see what happened. The first one was in my regular screaming style. Then I put out my most recent video, which was 2 weeks ago now, which was my first rational, no yelling video in years. And I was actually, I thought people were going to hate the no yelling, but I was actually blown away by the response I had to that video. It's actually the highest viewed video I've had in over a year too. So, and I don't respond to YouTube comments because it's just a shit show and Twitter's enough, but I actually did read the comments, and the feedback was, we love the yelling videos, but we'd like to see more of this. So that's why I made the change. So I'm going to be doing both.
Well, it's just like the content you cover. You cover such a wide array of content. It's not just one thing. You're not just dedicated to Doctor Who. You're not just dedicated to Star Trek. You know, I'm guilty of that. I have no damn direction whatsoever besides this is what's going on.
You shouldn't have a direction. I think the moment, and given that I've been doing this for so long and I've been in so many YouTube communities over the year, and I've seen so many massive channels just crash and die, I think if you have a specific focus, or you focus on one thing, or you're going to say, I'm just going to do this, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that YouTubers can make. It's don't have a plan. Just go with what seems right at the time. And I think that's what differentiates channels that have been around for years towards channels that will explode and then completely die within a matter of months. You can't pigeonhole yourself just into one type of content, one way of making a video. You have to be genuine about what you're making. So if, for example, if I just feel like just making Doctor Who videos, I'm just going to make Doctor Who videos. If I feel like just covering the disaster that was The Last of Us Part 2, then that's what I'm going to cover. If somebody says something stupid online, I'm going to cover that. And it's when you try and force things, that's when it stops being fun, and that's when you fail. And that's what I've learned is I don't force anything. I'm far from, even though I have tried being a full-time YouTuber twice, once worked out really well. It was when Doctor Who Series 11 was on, and that was awesome. The second time was a few months later, which was during the Vox apocalypse. I decided, well, I'm between contracts, so I'll try doing this. Complete disaster. I'll never do it again. And it's, you don't want to lock yourself and feel like I'm obligated to make a video. Now it's, if I have the time, but if I feel like making a video, and it's happened a few times where I'm thinking during the week, Saturday, I think I might make a video. Saturday will come along. You know what? It's a beautiful day outside. Do I really want to spend anywhere from 6 to 10 hours putting a video together? So it's like, if I feel like making a video, I will. There are things that I commit myself to. Whereas when the next Doctor, God help us, is announced, rumors are it may be tomorrow, God only knows. I will make a video about that because I have committed to covering this disaster to the end. But I haven't committed to what style these videos are going to be, which is why it's going to be a wide array across the board. But I think the casting of the next Doctor will be something I'd want to cover anyway, because it's going to be a goddamn train wreck. I right now I just want to see, how are you going to make things worse? I don't care about your show anymore. I don't want your show saved anymore. Doctor Who, at least new Doctor Who to me, is completely dead. For me, it's fascinating, like watching a train wreck. Just the incompetence and the stupidity. How are you going to make this worse?
And that's fucking horrible when it comes down to that's where you're at, that you love this IP, you love this thing, you watch this show, the show has helped you through hard times, the show has been there for you. I feel the same way about Star Trek. I am one of those few people. I only saw the very beginning of Who, and I mean the very beginning, and only because I had a really cool science teacher that was like, watch this, and handed me a VHS box set of the first couple of seasons, and these were in a blue TARDIS VHS box, and it was the original black and white Doctor Who. Yep. And that's all I ever watched, and I didn't even get really back into Who until I started with the fandom, and people were, I can't believe they're doing this with Jodie, and I can't believe it, and then she runs with her fucking mouth open, and she's a dense dumb bitch.
Walks like a fucking duck.
Yeah,
it's a train wreck. Well, yeah, one thing I say, if you're looking to introduce new fans of Doctor Who, as much as I, as a Who fan, love the Hartnell years, it's probably the worst intro part for somebody who hasn't seen it before, because they are an acquired taste and they do take a while to get into. Your best introduction to Doctor Who is the Hinchcliffe Holmes, Tom Baker years. Okay. Specifically, Tom Baker's second season, I think, is the best intro point. And that was actually pretty much sort of my intro point to becoming an obsessive fan when I was a kid, but Tom Baker's second season. But yeah, no, last summer, it was everything surrounding the show. It was the fact that they doubled down, the fact that they had completely destroyed canon, just the god-awful cesspit of humanity on Twitter that they cater to and worship. I became completely disgusted with the show. And anybody that watches what my videos used to be for a decade, my biggest focus, or my most viewed videos, had to do with my Doctor Who DVD collection. Well, it was around the time that I moved into this house where I was unpacking them. I did have them on the shelf, and then one day I'm like, you know what? I can't even look at this anymore. I took that entire collection, packed it in boxes, put it upstairs. Everything Doctor Who related, I wanted it out of my sight. And for months, I'd say maybe 8 or 9 months by the end, I didn't watch Doctor Who. I wanted nothing to do with it. The only interaction I had was making videos talking about the stupid shit that they were doing. But the show for me had been completely ruined. I'm happy to say that I have somewhat rediscovered Classic Who, where it's not as big a thing to me as it used to be in terms of my love for the show, because I think that's been irreparably damaged. But I am rediscovering the classic series. But in terms of New Who, and I've tried rewatching it, but it doesn't matter if it's Eccleston, it doesn't matter if it's David Tennant, Matt Smith. When I watch New Who, I can't help but see where it's going, and I can't see just the scum of humanity that this show attracted during those years, and just these awful subhuman, I don't even know what to call them. I'll call them Generation Shit Stain. And this doesn't mean an entire generation. That's just what I call these specific people. So Generation Shit Stain. The fact that you had people that had worshipped the show for years, people that bought your merchandise while it was off the air, those of us that grew up with the original series, those of us that made the show a success when it came back through watching it and getting other people to watch it. You threw everyone under the bus. And so many people behind the show, of me personally, have been contemptuous. One that really pissed me off is I was always a big supporter of Big Finish, and they avoided the wokeness longer than the show did. But one of the things that really pissed me off is Gary Russell, who ran it for the first 7 years, or from 1998 to like around 2005, 2006. This piece of shit slandered me all over the fucking internet. I'm like, do you have any idea how many, not hundreds, thousands of dollars I gave you while you were running Big Finish? The free publicity that I gave Big Finish, you fucking piece of shit. And it was also people involved in the show itself. And those that had a different opinion couldn't say anything because they saw what happened to Peter Davison. But there are people behind the show that don't like it. There are like Philip Hinchcliffe. If you watch an interview that he did in the recent Tom Baker Blu-ray, you could tell he hates the politics that's going on. And I think there was a whole diatribe about Whitaker in that interview that was cut. So there are people behind the show that still respect the fans, that won't attack the fans. But unfortunately, they don't have a voice. You have people that have been behind the show calling your customers scum of the fucking earth. How does this happen? In any other industry, you would be fired for that. Here you get promoted. And what really pissed me off and what has pretty much killed Doctor Who for me is the fact that these degenerate early 20-year-olds, not all of them, but my God, they're like a cult. They worship them. I go into every Doctor Who account, whether it be Big Finish, whether it be an actor, you go into who they're fucking following, and they're following all these degenerates. Whereas those of us who supported them for years are the reason why the show is still around almost 6 decades later. We don't matter. Not only do we not matter, they hate us. They shit all over us. And wow, that's like, I said I wouldn't do any rants in this video, but no, it's like, I feel passionate about, because there's something about being completely disrespected. And the argument from Generation Shitstain that we keep getting is, well, it's not your show. No, it's not my show personally. But when everybody, or 90% of people that used to like the show, feel the same way I do, then yes, we do have ownership of the show, because we are the reason the show exists, or still exists.
That's right. And that's the same thing with Star Wars, Star Trek in the lean years, especially with Star Wars. So when Star Wars had nothing, I'm going to tell you, I was buying figures, I was buying video games, I'm not only buying the books for myself, but family members.
Yep.
Hey, hardback Star Wars. Boom, there it is. You love Star Wars, check out this book, and just handing them out, because I don't loan books. You just and you support them. You support them at cons. You support the actors. You support, and your money. And then all of a sudden, one fucking day, we don't really care about your money. We don't give a shit, what you bought from us. You're trash, and we're pandering to this shit now.
Well, and the BBC and Doctor Who, I could say, beyond the money I spent, from me personally, they have made thousands, tens of thousands. How do I know this? Because when I did my DVD reviews over there, and also I had some Big Finish reviews, which I think there might be a few of those up, but I fucking deleted those. I had links to Amazon. At one point, I was part of the Amazon affiliate program where you get like half a cent or something whenever somebody buys something off their site. I could tell you based off what they cost. And I think some of them might still have the links, but I had links to Amazon.com, Amazon.ca. I could tell you right now, over the years, thousands, and I mean thousands, tens of thousands of dollars went through my YouTube channel. So I personally have made the money. And they treat me like this. It's like, and I say me, I'm speaking for fandom. And this is why people are angry. It's just the complete and utter contempt they have for everybody that doesn't reflect themselves. It's absolutely disgusting.
And Mike Beast Dick says there's a difference between ranting and being honest and passionate. You're very much the latter, Bowlestrek, and I agree.
Well, thank you, my friend.
Some people talk about me burning the fucking house down or burning down in the morning. It's not because I want to sit there and yell at anybody. It's not because I like getting angry. It's because when you care about something and you see it being destroyed in front of you, something that you've spent your life with, and God, you just want to shake them and wake them up and be like, what the fuck do you think you're doing?
Well, and you have to find some kind of outlet. And I know there's some people that think, oh, Bowlestrek, he must just spend every day yelling at his wall. No, nowadays I get passionate about this when I'm talking about it and I'm doing videos. But when I'm not on YouTube, when I'm not streaming, I find other things that I enjoy. And anything that I enjoy is pretty much anything from the year 2000 on earlier. My entertainment now is classic horror. And I've been working my way through my Arrow Video, Scream Factory, Vinegar Syndrome collection. I'm watching stuff from when movies were good.
Did you ever
I'm watching silent movies. Tonight, I'm probably going to watch Casablanca. I'm going to watch classic movies. So it's given me an opportunity to discover when things were good. I watched things like Columbo. So yes, I do live in the past because I hate the present, but it's given me a chance to appreciate what was there. So you got to find something that you still enjoy. And I think for a lot of people, it's the way things used to be. And the good thing, if you're a horror fan, through the 70s through into the early 90s, there were so many movies. There's thousands of them. There isn't enough time in your life to watch all of them. So that's what I do. I love old B movies. The cheesier, the better. So that's now where my happy place used to be, like watching Doctor Who or watching current Star Trek. It's now classic films.
Did you ever watch the old Full Moon Entertainment horror movies?
Well, drunk many years ago, yes.
Well, if you haven't seen them in a while, the Puppet Master movies. I love the Puppet Master movies.
I keep meaning to upgrade those because I have the full DVD set, which is absolutely ancient.
Yes.
I got the first two on Blu-ray, but I haven't watched those in years. And like I said, the last time I watched them, me and my friends did a marathon. I got too drunk to really remember what I was watching. So my plan is to pick up the rest of them on Blu-ray and have an actual full-on marathon.
I absolutely love those. I want to thank you. Thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, no problem. Well, thank you very much for having me, my friend.
And no, I know exactly where you're coming from. When you talk about your passion for something, when you talk about caring about something, when you talk about watching it all get shit down the toilet because they're having to form it around today instead of forming it about something better. Because that's what it felt always to me, watching any of the stuff I've watched over the years, especially sci-fi. A lot of it is it's going to be better. Things are going to get better. Have hope. In the future, things will be better. Star Trek was all about things being better in the future.
Well, that's why I make the argument that I at this point, I want to see the entire industry destroy itself, which is why I want them to keep doing what they're doing. And when this implodes, we will get something better. And that's why it needs to go back to independent, smaller film studios. And then things will change.
Agreed. Absolutely agree. Thank you. Thank you so much, Bowlestrek, for being here today. Big thank you to Purple Valkyrie for setting this up. Thank you very much, Purple. Chat, you have been absolutely excellent. Please give Mr. Bowlestrek a big B in the chat. Thank you so very much, chat, for being here and being the people you are, because you guys rock, and I couldn't do this show without each and every one of you.
You guys are awesome, and thank you for literally listening to me complain for 2 hours.
We started with politics. Who would have thought saw that coming? Started with politics, and
I always intend not to do it, but then you ask the question. So, how are things in Canada? Well, you cannot describe current Canada without getting political. There's just no way around it.
That's right, and you can't describe the U.S. You can't describe any of it now without How's everything going over there? Well,
it's. I could lie and say it's great.
They called the cops on me at a drive-through in Krispy Kreme because I didn't have a mask on.
Oh, that is happening.
Oh yeah. That happened right in the middle of the pandemic. Couldn't go in the building because I didn't have a mask. Went around in the drive-through. Bitch threatened to call the cops on me if I didn't leave because I had to have a drive-through or a mask on in the drive-through. I was like,
yeah, this current year sucks. So that's why, like I said, people, Just live in the past. Just pretend that your entertainment stops in 1999. Nothing after that exists, although there was good stuff after 99, but just arbitrary. That's your arbitrary stop or start point. Nothing exists before 1999. Don't watch anything from current year, and you will be happier with life. Yes, you're old. Yes, you're living in the past. I used to make fun of my dad when I was a kid because he lived in the 60s. Well, now I live in the 90s, and I become my dad, and I couldn't be happier that we still have this stuff, and all hail physical media. If not for physical media, we wouldn't have stuff to watch that isn't shit.
That's right. And they are changing it.
Yep.
They are going to change it. So, guys, thank you. We will be back on Monday with another Mornings of Mischief. I'm moving next week. So, like I said earlier in the week, we're going to have Mexican Iron Man on to cover Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, along with Purple Valkyrie and some guests next week. Again, big thank you from Bowlestrek for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Rock, sir. You absolutely rock. We got to do this again sometime.
We shall. And if I ever get off my ass and do a live stream again, I will have you on my channel as well.
Would love to. I'd absolutely love to. Burn some shit down. Burn it down, Valhalla. Thank you so very much, everybody. Throw some fire in the chat for Bowlestrek, and I will see you guys on Monday.
These videos are tremendous. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hammer that notification bell.